Hi, today we're going to do Cal Academy String Set 2, problem number 1. The problem says, given a string S, find the longest palindromic substring in S. For example, if we have an input of babad, our output should be bab, because the length, the longest palindromic substring length is 3. And a palindrome is the same backwards or forwards. Bab is the same backwards or forwards. Now, ABBA could also be the same backwards and forwards and is a length of 3, but since we found Bab first, we might as well just have that as the longest. We're going to do this in a time of on squared, and we're going to do this in a space of on time. On squared because we're going to do 2 for loops, and we're going to compare, build up our substring by adding each additional character onto B. Then once we're done, we'd add each character after A onto A, and so forth until we've reached the end of the string. Now it's going to be on space because we're going to be storing this longest variable, and at most the longest string that we could store is in characters. Alright, so what are we doing here? So we're going to create an empty string called longest, and then we're going to loop through the given string starting at the 0th character. And each time we when we iterate to the next character, we're going to create a temporary variable. It's going to be our temporary string. And we have some ES6 syntax here, some interpolation here, where we are going to make the very first character of the temporary be whatever the current index is inside of our input. So our string called temp, it will first look like B, because we're starting at the 0th character. We're setting it to that. And then we're going to do our inner for loop, where we're going to go compare everything with the B. So we're going to make that start at I plus 1. So that way we're never going backwards and comparing things that are looking at characters we've already looked at. There's no point in looking at those characters. So we continue looking. So J will start at I plus 1, which is at 1 here. And we're going to add that character onto the temporary. So then the temporary should look like BA on the first iteration. And then we check, is this BA, is it a palindrome? We have this function that takes in a string called isPalin, and it will basically return a Boolean whether or not if this string is a palindrome. And we're simply just going to split the string, reverse it, join it back together, and then compare it to the given string to see if they're the same backwards and forwards. This should be, if it is true, and if the length of this variable, temporary, if it's larger than this longest variable, then we're going to set the longest to be temp. First round, this is not true, so we're going to continue in this inner for loop and move on to the next character, which is 2. And then we're going to add, on the second loop, we're going to add the B onto that BA. This is true, it is a palindrome, its length is longer than longest, and now longest becomes Bab. And then we would repeat this all the way down, 3, 4, none of these are palins. Then we move back up to the for loop, move this, the I to A, and then J becomes here, and then we do the exact same comparison. Again, this is all in on squared time because of the 2 for loops, and on space because of the string that we are keeping track of, and we are also making new strings each time. And thank you.